it's So from TBH Studying, and I'm here with a video inspired by Project Pan, no buy and low buy, and declutter videos from beauty YouTube. Here are a series of the stationery I've used up over the past few years. I've already done a stationery declutter which I forgot to film in. I gave them away on my Instagram a long time ago. I just thought it might be nice to pop in, give you guys my opinion on the product, and whether or not I would repurchase it. With that, let's begin. The first pen is the Uniball Signo UM151 gel pens. These used to be one of my favorite pens back when I first started Study Blur because of its consistent ink flow, good grip, and archival quality ink, meaning that it won't fade over time. They do smear under highlighters if you add a lot of pressure, and anything above 0.38 will be inky and thicker than expected, which is what I found with my 0.5 pen. I also found the needle point to be scratchier than the conical tip. I would repurchase this pen, but I'm currently trying to get through more of my current pens. Next is the Pentel Multi-Pen in the limited edition botanical design. I use the Pentel Energel refills in here, so the writing experience and ink quality is pretty much the same as the Energels. However, the thing I want to point out with this pen is how nice, pretty, and smooth the barrel is. It's slim enough to fit in my hand, and it's lightweight. I find that a lot of multi-pens can get really bulky or too thick in my hand, but this one doesn't. The ink does run out faster because the refill is slimmer and smaller, and it's more expensive per pen refill, but it's convenient to have a multi-pen if you don't want a lot of pens in your pencil bag. I would repurchase the refills for this after using up some of my other pens, but I want to try some other refills. The Zebra Sarasa gel pens are my current favorite gel pen. The ink flow is consistent, the clip is sturdy and actually functional, and the refills often work for other retractable pen barrels like the original Muji retractable pen and the Pentel Energel. The vintage Sarasa pens are my favorites because of their unique muted colors, and I would definitely repurchase them, but I'm working through a lot of them right now. The Pentel Energel pens used to be my favorites back in 2018, and I use them every day for lecture notes. They have a smooth ink flow, they dry very quickly, and they don't smear under highlighters, and they're also easily accessible in American supermarkets. However, they write as gray on top of correction tape, and the 0.5 size only comes in the needlepoint pens. The permanent Pentel Energel in 0.5 does come in a conical tip and doesn't write as much of a gray on top of correction tape compared to the original, but it skips too much for me to use regularly. I wouldn't repurchase this because of the correction tape issue. Next up are the Muji pens. I have a lot of different kinds from their capped gel ink pens, their original retractable pens, and their discontinued hexagonal pens. They're very popular, aesthetic, and relatively inexpensive if you buy them in store. However, the ink can be inconsistent, doesn't dry down as quickly, and smears under highlighters. Out of their stationery products, I prefer Muji notebooks and paper products over their pens. They've discontinued some of their pen designs and redesigned their pens, at least in the US. Next is the Sharpie Fineliner pen. It's not the permanent marker, but rather the fineliner pen with the porous point tip. Because it doesn't smear under highlighters and brush pens, unlike other fineliner pens on the market, it's one of my favorites. It's what I use to outline my drawings and doodles in my bullet journals for years. I'd repurchase this once I run out of my other ones because I don't have a pen that quite performs like this one. Mildliners are the most popular Study Blur highlighter, but it's definitely not the only pastel highlighter on the market. I find that this behaves more like a marker rather than a highlighter, especially for the darker colors. It's nice to have two different tips, and the color range is really extensive, but the highlighter tips do wear down and fray very quickly. I wouldn't repurchase this because I want to try other highlighters on the market. Ooh, this is a rough one. The Pilot Juice pens and Juice Up pens are some of my least favorite pens because the ink tends to skip and railroad really badly. The tip of the pen also rattles when I write, which is really annoying if it happens all the time, and the grip of the pen isn't as nice as other pens like the Sarasa pens. I just wouldn't repurchase this at all. The Pilot Frixion pens and highlighters are up next. The highlighter has the lightest pastel colors that I've seen from a pastel highlighter, but the black pen and black marker aren't true blacks. They're more of a dark gray. They erase easily, but they'll erase themselves if you leave them in a hot car or next to a heater because the ink is heat activated. You can reactivate it by putting it in a freezer, but then it'll bring back everything, including your mistakes, and this isn't good for standardized tests. I wouldn't repurchase the pens, but I'd be interested in trying more of the marker colors. Now, these are what I categorize as supermarket pens because they're available and accessible in American supermarkets, at least for me. The Pilot Precise V5 is a rollerball pen that I wouldn't repurchase because 1. It's a needlepoint pen, 2. The ink flow isn't consistent, and 3. The ink tends to blob and smear more and it just bleeds through paper more easily. The Uniball Signo 207 is another pen I got because I thought it might be a more accessible version of the Uniball Signo UM151s, but this one skips constantly. And the Papermate Inkjoy gel pens are absolutely terrible in the 0.7 version, but the 0.5 version is fine. Out of these, I'd repurchase the Inkjoy gel pens if I didn't have too many pens already, and I wouldn't repurchase the rest. The Uniball Jetstream is a ballpoint pen, and in general, I don't like ballpoint pens. However, these are good and consistent, and they last longer than gel pens. These aren't my favorite in regards to overall pens, but it makes me want to try out more ballpoint pens like the Pilot Acroball or Zebra Surari. The 0.5 and 0.38 Jetstreams look virtually the same on paper, and for me, the multi-pen skips far more than a normal single Jetstream, so I would recommend the normal pens rather than the multi-pen. Now moving on from pens to other stationery items. This is the Malista correction tape. I bought this in Korea because it was refillable and retractable and because it was fairly cheap. However, it tears the correction tape as it dispenses and sometimes tears through the paper itself. Definitely a wouldn't repurchase item. Next are some sticker empties. Cheyenne Barton stickers are good quality, environmentally friendly, and very cute. These are old Paper Kumako stickers back when they were still printed on paper. And Sticky Rice Co. stickers are just regular matte paper stickers, but still super cute. And these stickers from Korea are fantastic quality and have excellent designs. Airy Lovelies is a newer sticker shop, but I really enjoy their sticker designs. The only ones I really wouldn't repurchase here are the stickers from Korea because the shipping would be exorbitantly expensive. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching and hope this helped. I'll see you in the next video and bye!